we're back with the Blake family. Finn is dealing with, the fallout from everything he went through. Gwen is dealing with the fact that she's the weird girl at school. People have heard rumors. Some people have heard outright, the stories of what did happen. And she's treated very differently. And it's about these, we're with these two kids who life isn't perfect and life isn't great and they're struggling. But it's the 80s now. We're out of the 70s. We're into the era of MTV. Now the phone rings, and it is the grabber calling from hell. He's become even more monstrous. We've amplified everything that was awful about the grabber, and now this is who the grabber is as a supernatural creature, and he's a truly terrifying beast of nothing but rage and sadism. Finn is played by Mason Thames, a great young actor we found in the first film who we are excited to work with again. And Finn is, Finn is struggling. He went through such a terrible experience. As much as it was a coming of age story in the first movie, as time has worn on, it's really messed with him. He came through it all right. He came through it strong. He, killed the grabber. But now that weighs on him, and it weighs on him every night, and he's haunted by the grabber, and he sees him everywhere he goes, and he's trying to numb himself to that with substance abuse.
I loved the script. I thought it was very powerful, very well put together. And then the characters, of course, I'm always looking for something that I haven't done before, something that can help me also stretch my own way of doing things. And I found that on the script and in the character. I think Scott elevates his own bar. It was already high on the first film. And if you think about a second part of Black Phone 1, it's like, what would you do? Where are you going to take it? And I think it's phenomenal, but he did, how he created this entirely new world around the same characters, how he elevated the stakes in such a great level. And of course, bringing new characters too. Thanks to that, I'm here. And I think it's a big plus, it's a great thing. And I'm so lucky to have played Mando in this second story. She's perfect. She's Mustang. I remember we chatted before we began shooting. We saw each other on a Zoom meeting, and it was so refreshing to hear her and to hear her thoughts about the film and the character. And of course, our relationship, which is vital for both and for the story. And we connected right away. We connected very easily. She's such a nice spirit and such a good peer as well. And again, a very serious actor, very committed actor.
What I love about this movie is that it doesn't just tell another scary story. It peels back the layers of what we have already learned. We get to explore Finney and Gwen's family, the trauma they've inherited, and how there is more connecting them to the grabber than they may have realized. Scott is a master of creating the right mood and atmosphere for the perfect horror film. He's an incredibly collaborative director who knows how to inspire and bring out the best in his cast and crew. Here at Blumhouse, we always say horror is better together. It's such a unique experience to be vulnerable with your friends, family, and a few complete strangers. Black Phone 2 is no exception. From the sound design, to the atmosphere, to the striking cinematography, it's the kind of movie that's just better in the dark, with a crowd, and nowhere to run.
Gwen has these dreams, or visions, you could call them, and they help her see the future sometimes, and also she's able to see things from the past and also talk to dead people. The grabber is played by the one and only Ethan Hawke. It's really awesome because I didn't get to work with him like at all in the first movie. And in this movie, we have a lot of scenes together, and working with him is so awesome. When I first saw him like come onto set, I was kind of in awe because, you know, it's Ethan Hawke. Um, and he was so supportive and so kind to me in between every single take, always made sure that I was okay and would always give me like fist bumps and high fives. He was like, that was so good, Maddie, or yeah. And we just kind of, whenever, you know, the cameras weren't rolling, he'd kind of just be like whistling and singing. And it's just so weird seeing him go from this terrifying, psychotic grabber who literally kills people to just Ethan whistling, walking around on set, talking to Scott and hanging out with everyone. But yeah, it's just really cool because I feel like you can learn so much from working with incredible actors like that. Demián Bichir plays Mando, and he's the head of the camp. I love Demián so much. He makes working on a horror movie so much fun. Literally in between every single take, he would sing or dance or like crack jokes and stuff. And so getting to talk to him and obviously work with such an incredible actor like him, I mean, I felt so honored and like, I'm so grateful. I hope audiences experience all different ranges of emotion because all different emotions are in the movie. And I hope they really, really see all the different relationships and friendships that are in this film and all the love and heart that we all put into it and just that is made in the movie with all these characters. So yeah, and I hope they get scared because it is a horror movie.
Finney is an angry dude. He's an angry guy. He's all, even from the first movie, he's been such a complex character, and you know, even more so now. And it's just a whole journey of him deciding whether or not he wants to face the grabber or not. Ethan Hawke, he's an idol of mine. You know, working with him, just seeing him, you know, he walks on set and he like first take just nails it, like just like that. And the choices he makes, it's inspiring. And you know, for my first job working with him on the first Black Phone, it was such an experience, and it taught me, you know, I want to get better and learn from my craft. So getting a second chance at working with him was such an experience, and you know, I'm so grateful for it. But he's incredible, and seeing him back as the grabber is terrifying and awesome. Gwen is the funniest character. She's so snarky. You know, she knows who she is. You know, at least from the first movie, she already you know, knew who she was. She was so strong, and in this movie, it's 10 times that. And getting to see Maddie back as Gwen is so cool. You know, and her snarkiness is just still there. You know, if somebody says something, she punches back, and you know, seeing her up against the grabber really tests Gwen. You know, tests her strength. In the first movie, they had such a connection, and you know, they were so close and cared so deeply with each other, and it's the same here. But you know, Finney, after the first movie, has so much built up anger, and you know, even with his dad and everybody, you know, he doesn't, you know, he's not the same. There's not that lighthearted, you know, innocent kid anymore. You know, he was forced to grow up, but there's little moments with Gwen where, you know, that's where Finney shows his softness. That's where he really cares, is about his sister. He will lay down anything for her.
I was so curious on how they were going to even make a second one, since the first one was so good. You know, it's the grabber died. Did he die? We never seen his body. I don't know. So when I actually got the email and I seen Black Phone 2 and I started reading the script, every page was just truly a masterpiece. You know, I think Scott and Cargill really did a good job with this one, and everything about it. I really found myself to be going on this roller coaster of emotions where, you know, you're scared. It's scary. In my opinion, I think this one is scarier than the first one. And, you know, you have your funny moments, you have your romantic moments, you have your, you know, then your really empathetic moments. And I just think overall this movie just really will resonate well with the audience. Gwen Blake is played by Madeleine McGraw, who is a lovely actress to work with. She's extremely talented. And I think her character is one of those characters in a horror film that just make you want to watch it again. You know, in the first one, she was my favorite character. And now coming back as an older Gwen, we see the character development, and throughout the film, I don't want to use the word snarkier because that was the word that was used in the script. That's exactly how they described Gwen. She comes back 4 years snarkier, 4 years wiser, but it's exactly that. Madeleine just did an absolutely just a fantastic job of playing Gwen, and I think she's extremely talented. And I think a perfect word to describe Scott is definitely leader. You know, just having the privilege to be able to work with someone as talented as him is something I'm very blessed to have. Being on set, even the days that I wasn't working, I just enjoyed coming to set and learning from someone like him and observing his way of directing. I think he's just a brilliant director, and his way of taking charge on set is something I definitely admire for sure.
I think that Mason, you know, in just a couple of years really grew into movie star, handsome, good looks. And so meeting Finn, I was very interested in how he would be processing what had happened to him still. And of course, the movie is about that fear that he has not been able to accept or process well, and that has turned to anger, and he has become a violent person himself, and has certain ideas about being fearless and fighting back the way he learned from his friend Robin in the first movie. That all gets sort of deconstructed as he goes along. You've got a Freddy Krueger type, you know, back from the dead, vengeful ghost in a mask, and what Ethan brings to that trope is eloquence and intelligence and you know, ferocity of language that is not something a lot of actors could pull off. I just very much felt like I needed to pay respect to the guys who ran these camps that I went to when I was in high school, who really changed my life and really gave me some guidance at a time that I needed it. I felt like paying tribute to that makes for an interesting narrative. And I don't think there's another actor alive who could have done a better job than Demián. We found this place, Camp Candelore. And as soon as I went on to that, I was like, oh my gosh, I feel like I'm back in Denver, in the Rocky Mountains in the early 80s. But at the time, there was no snow on the ground. We were planning on making fake snow, and so we were stuck. I didn't know what was gonna happen. And then the one true movie god smiled upon us and dumped more snow in a shorter period of time than they've ever had up there on record. When you see the snow in the movie, that's real snow. We put, you know, of course, we built the phone booth where it is, but that frozen lake and that mountain range is real, that's behind it. People might think that's green screen. It's not, it's real. I think Black Phone 2 is a pretty uniquely disciplined and layered audio-visual experience. There's a lot of effort and detail in the look of the Super 8 film, what we did with the Super 8 film, how we integrated it with the digital photography of the movie, so that the visual experience of the movie is not gonna look like another movie that you've seen. I don't think I've ever seen a movie in a theater with more Super 8 material in it than this one. And it's not just Super 8 material, it's very specific film stocks and very specific processing, very specific look that we wanted for the movie. And sonically, it's an extremely disciplined production also. My son Atticus Derrickson did the score, and the integration of the score and this expressive sound design, and the sound of the winter elements of the movie, the music that plays, some of the needle drops in it, all of that lends itself ultimately to a very cinematic experience.